And welcome back to another Coffee with Laura. I, of course, am Laura. So thank you for joining and watching. And I'm excited, as always, about being here and getting to share some fresh information with you guys. And today we're going to talk about the language of the body. So, our body is brilliant, which is kind of cool because we kind of need it to be that way. But we don't always listen, and we weren't really taught to listen either. We were kind of taught to ignore and control. We do this all the time when it comes to being healthy, how we eat, half the things we're anxious about. We feel like we need to have complete control because we're afraid of what might happen if we don't. It's largely the problem. But let's look at the actual language our body is using. So, when you have a tummy ache, you probably don't go and eat a giant deep dish large pizza because your stomach's already hurting, and that probably wouldn't help. But how do you know that something's wrong with your tummy? Maybe the aching feeling, right? Something like you feel something. There's discomfort, there's an uncomfortable feeling, whether that's physical or emotional, you can decipher. But there's an uncomfortable feeling. And that sends us into a little bit of a decoding message of, okay, what did I eat? Did I eat too much? Oh man, I had those onions and those onions hurt me. Or you learn about how to eat for your body based on what your stomach tells you. So that's your stomach. But what about the rest of your body? You know, pain is very useful. We don't like it. I don't like it any more than anyone else, but it's very useful because it speaks to us. It gets our attention. It makes us take action. When there's too much pressure on your knee, or you haven't foam rolled or gotten a massage in a while, you're going to feel some pain, and that's your body's way of saying it needs some assistance. The challenge is when we don't listen. But now let's take it to a whole different avenue, because when it comes to physical pain, we listen. But when it comes to mental, we don't. When we experience mental pain, that can be stress, sadness, grief, anger, pretty much any uncomfortable emotion I've noticed falls under the pain threshold of our emotional experience. What do we do with it? Do we address it? Do we take care of it kind of like we do with our physical body? No, we don't. Most of the time, we push it down or we lash out about something completely different, not even realizing the entire time that what we were upset about was whatever we were upset about. We deflect so much of our emotional energy because we're too afraid to actually face our emotional energy. The other challenge is we give it so much power, but we're the power holders. We're the ones who get to say, like, I listen here, I do this, but we haven't been taught how to do that, which is ultimately the challenge, right? But that's the purpose of pain. That's the purpose of uncomfortable emotions, is to get our attention so that we can take care of ourselves, so we can support ourselves becoming and growing into who we need to be. So here's a perfect example. Back in April, I like to travel, and back in April, I had 3 weekends in a row where I had to travel. I got to go great things. I got to go to a concert that was amazing. I got to go see my family in Jersey, and I got to go to Arizona with some of my girlfriends. So much life and joy were in those moments, but the actual energy of flying is exhausting for me. And towards the end of that, I noticed feeling resentful and almost wishing I didn't have to go see my friends in Arizona. And then I heard that thought and I'm like, I love my friends. Like, why would I not want to go? And ultimately, I was so drained. I was feeling burnt out. And that uncomfortable emotion finally got my attention. And I was like, why am I so burnt out? What's different here? Just like I would if I had a tummy ache, I looked at what my experience was to try to decipher it so that I can learn. unbelievable life that I'm fortunate enough to live as it is. So that's not working. So I can't do 3 weekends back to back to back. I also was able to learn that having a weekend in between traveling is really useful. And if I can get two, that's even better. Now, I have experienced this burnout over travel for most years of my life. And it wasn't until I met my husband that I even realized it was a problem. And now I'm so grateful for the burnout, for the discomfort, because it helps me set the appropriate boundaries within my own experience. And I can say for hundreds of my clients, they experience the same thing because we don't know where our limits are until we find them. And how do we find them? Uncomfortable emotions or pain, depending on how you want to think of it. We learn our walls, we learn what we're capable of, and we learn just because we're capable of this doesn't mean we have to do this every single time. We can do this and enjoy life, and it'll be great. If we need to, we can get up here. But here's kind of our ideal. That is learning personal responsibility and self-regulation. But we don't learn any of that without paying attention to our emotions. Our emotions aren't bad. The culture we grew up in just has convinced us that they're weak and that we should bury them, but they're messengers from the infinite intelligence, which is our body, that just knows what's going on within us better than we know what's going on within us. But we're not listening to the message, and then we're wondering why we're so stressed, busy, burnt out, and unhappy. It's because of ourselves. It's because we're not actually taking action or listening or hearing the insights that our body has. The reality is we have 3 brains. Third brain, it's our frontal cortex, it's our smart brain. That's one we typically like. Second brain, that's our limbic system. That is our motivational triad. The first brain, that is everything unmonitored. Every breath, every digestive instinct, every immune function that is fighting. It's all the automated shit that our body is doing. But we don't think it's smart. We don't listen to our body, even though it is literally our life force and keeping us alive. I don't know if it's because we don't respect the intelligence. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm guessing it's a little different from each person. Point being, there's a whole level of intelligence your body is trying to communicate with you that you're not listening to because culture has convinced you that feelings are weak. If you're tired, if you're burnt out, if you're stressed, if you're in any sort of anxiety or emotional discomfort, do yourself a favor and be as courageous as you can and address those emotions. Figure out what is the messenger that your body's trying to communicate with you. What can you learn? In this life, we only have this one body. We only have this one world. The more disconnected we are from our emotional world, the more out of control we're going to be. You don't have to like it. You just have to accept it. And with that being said, if that is kind of what you're experiencing, I strongly encourage you to join me on the Stress-Free Healthy Me as we are launching our new round. I am so stoked because it combines the behavior change, the habit change, the lifestyle change, the mindset change with being healthy, learning to heal yourself through empowering yourself with health and acting with integrity. So if you are ready to get healthy your way, change your behaviors, really feel connected to yourself without any of the diet bullshit, make sure you hit the link below and come out and find some more information. And I would love to see you there. But for now, feel your feelings. I'm so grateful you listened and you came, and I will see you next week.